Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed our video yesterday. It was rather long, so today we promised to keep it short and sweet. I'm sure you're recovering from the parties and the revelries of last night.
Our podcast.
Yeah, and our podcast too, which must have consumed half your day. But anyway, getting back into the serious point and not wasting your time on a Sunday morning, on a holy morning. What do you have, Dana? Let's jump into it.
Sir, I have taken 5 banks, sir, that in our consideration list. So that bank was South Indian Bank, TMB, KTK, Karnataka Bank, IDFC First Bank, and IndusInd. So if you are taking the book value of the South Indian Bank, taking the TMB book value of, and if you take the KTK Bank, book value of IDFC First Bank, book value was in IndusInd, the book value was, so it all are the metrics first. And the second metric was we need to look the price to book for the median and currently traded of the price to book that you have been teaching to me. So okay, I am taking that median price to book and the current price to book. If I taking these 5 banks, everything was good. Everything was belowly traded in the median price to book. Okay, good. Okay, our consideration was good. And the second question was I am taking the same method and applied into the banking stock. Our viewers and my silly questions also has been appear. That that bank was RBL, Yes Bank, Canara Bank also in the list. Some people are placing DBS Bank. Many banks are there. So I need to. I'm not
DCB, you mean?
DCB, and I'm not going to list out the other banks. Left we take the RBL and Yes Bank. So for the example, if you are taking the RBL Bank, book value was, if you are taking the median price to book 1.0, it was trading below the price to book 0.7. If you are taking the Yes Bank, book value okay, but median price to book was 1.6, but the price to book currently it was 1.3. So how we need to differentiate this 5 banks into these 2 banks?
Well, let's look at the first 5 banks. Right, these are solid banks because the guys running the banks are solid.
Okay.
The bank history is solid. One thing which my brother said, which is true for all banks in India, all banks fall under RBI. RBI is keeping an eye on all of them. It's very difficult nowadays. It's getting harder and harder for banks to do jagra, meaning you have to be very careful on following the rules. If you don't follow the rules, RBI immediately will slap fines on you and stop you from doing business. Like you've seen it happening. They'll say, yeah, you cannot do this business for some time.
So
till you fix
in Kotak also same.
It's happened. Okay, Kotak is a very expensive bank. HDFC is expensive. So let's not talk about those. Okay, then people immediately say, well, can you buy Kotak? Right? So those are expensive. So let's not even get in that discussion. Talking about these banks. So all banks, including RBL and Yes Bank, fall under this. But before RBI did all this, and now it's like this. If you rewind the clock and see what happened in RBL and Yes Bank, we'll give you a clear picture on why Anand doesn't like those banks. Because the promoters in the bank did questionable activities in the bank. Immediately our boys will say, then what about Hindujas and IndusInd Bank? Hindujas in their private capacity are doing. They're not doing anything in IndusInd Bank.
Okay.
IndusInd Bank is not doing Hinduja any favor. Hindujas are doing in their own free accord, and this is personal freedom.
And another question also appeared. In TMB, the same promoter integrity also been appeared.
That is,
because promoter was fighting each other.
They are fighting each other, but the bank is not involved in the fight. The bank is run by a professional, which is RBI appointed. That's where RBI appointment makes, because RBI immediately stepped in, and the guy who's running TNB Bank now is the next State Bank of India, I think.
Yes, sir. 35 years of experience. That we have discussed.
We have spoken about that in a video. So RBI immediately stepped in, and the guy who's running the bank has been vetted by RBI. So the bank is very sound. And if you see the bank's loans and book record and all that, it's very sound and very safe. In the case of RBL, what happened was they had a guy running it. He got aggressive with credit cards. He told HDFC and ICICI Bank, you think you can give credit cards? I can do credit cards. See me do credit cards. He went into Bajaj Finance and tied up with Bajaj Finance.
Okay.
Everyone would have got calls from RBL Bank. I'm sure every single viewer can say, yes, sir, I also got telecaller from RBL Banks. You have pre-approved cards, sir. Tell me your address, I'll send you the card.
It was done in the year of, sir?
This was done, I would say, probably 4 years, 3 years back.
So
RBL flooded the market with cheap credit cards. Everybody was getting credit cards. If you had one RBL card, you get 2 RBL cards. You will get RBL's, what's that, Yes Bank card, you will get RBL, some other branded card. You will have 6-7 RBL cards. And guys who could not even afford to pay the loan, right? Your salary is 20,000 rupees. You will have a card with limit of 50,000-60,000 rupees. What was happening in microfinance, where they one customer was getting loan from everybody in microfinance. RBL was giving credit card to everyone who was asking. Anyone who was asking credit card. That too, we got the digital thing approved at that time, where with your Aadhaar card, download the app, use your photo, show your photo. You don't even have to do application. All digital application. So very fast onboarding. And before you know it, card was reached
to you.
Yeah, you just have to give your CIBIL, PAN card and everything. So people were taking card. So all those bad credit cards piled onto RBL.
That's my question, sir. That CIBIL score will be affected. How they will give the RBL?
RBL, they had very low metrics. Same thing with Fusion and everybody, no?
Oh, the CIBIL score was less.
Yeah, so they kept it flexible. So they'll have loopholes. So things like if you already have one loan, that means you're good enough to take a loan. And let's say usually banks used to have high bar for CIBIL. CIBIL was let's say 800 is the maximum, right? They'll say at least you should say be 700 to 800 be eligible for a card. RBL said no problem. If it's 500 itself, we'll give you. It was all allowed at that time, right? Because at that time banks were encouraged to improve credit, to give more credit. So all this happened. All these turned bad. All those are still on RBL's book. That guy who was doing all this was sent off. Another guy is now running the bank. So all that messes needs to be cleaned up. We don't need to talk about Yes Bank. Yes Bank is very famous. All the mess it got into, right? With Reliance, Anil Ambani and everything, we know that whole story. All that mess is still there.
But they are using only the metrics.
Yeah. So if you see the metrics, that's where the problem is. Because the metrics in India can be made to polish and look good. Correct? Because if I look at the camera like this, only this part needs to look nice. This part can be whatever I want. Right? So if I'm looking at the camera and talking like this, this side I could have all, as we say in Tamil, curry pussy.
Curry pussy.
Yeah, this side. This side could look very handsome, like Pond's ad, like this. So that is the problem with looking at banks or any company in India. You need to see the full face. The advantage in this is that, like you saw the way you deep dive into Sheshadri. As a homework for next Sunday, this other guy of RBL, who I was talking about, do research on him. And this Yes Bank, the promoter who I told you about, do research on that. You do research and you come back and tell me what you found out. Then we'll compare it to the metrics. And then you tell me, as a Gen Z, what you feel.
I'm coming for your question, but now coming into my...
He's been given homework. Thanks to you, he has homework. Since last video, he showed you how good he can do research, how good he can use AI. Let's make Dana do some work. After we talk next Saturday about influencers, Sunday we will come back to this to haunt you.
Sir, another question in our list, sir.
Last question. I promise to keep this video in 10 minutes.
Last question. So, our Gen Z, like the investment amount was like monthly 1K to 2K. If they are in beginner in these 5 banks, how they will pick?
If you if you had to pick and you have very little money, South Indian Bank should be your first choice.
First choice.
Right? And if you have little more money and if you can spend, then you can look at what you call Karnataka Bank or TNB Bank.
Okay. Karnataka and TNB in the second place.
South Indian, IDFC is with par with South Indian, but South Indian is better if you're looking at IDFC. Just because of pricing. Do you immediately say, why IDFC Bank some problem? There's no problem. I'm talking about where the value unlocking is. Then IndusInd is always a great bank, but it is really stretch on your wallet.
So don't do that South Indian Bank only only be in the portfolio. That's also...
Yes. I don't want to just keep buying South Indian Bank. We only have 25 rupees on South Indian Bank, gold. Then ETF is there. We spoke about how cheap ETFs are. We have Pharma ETF, we have IT ETF. Then of course Nifty is there.
In the banks also, sir. If only we are taking about the bank, South Indian Bank, just keep for the 3 days, you will get 75.
Correct.
So, and in the IDFC. Correct. And then keep save for a week, you will get the KTK investment.
Correct. Because like Dana said, in your bank stocks also, don't rely completely on one bank. Try and hedge your bets, as they say. So if one bank does really well, you'll feel good. If other banks don't do well, you don't feel so bad. That way you stay flexible. Because if you look at the price history of all these banks, some of them really don't move a lot, even in 5 years. They take time. So that's a normal feeling. It's normal. All investors feel this. Trust me. Okay, it's absolutely human to feel it. And if you don't feel it, that means you're not human. You should feel angry with your guys who are talking to you, and like how you feel angry with your friends for giving you advice. It's very normal for you to feel angry with me and Dana for giving you advice too. That's why I always check, verify, and then invest, and make sure you're aware of what you're doing. And just don't go whatever me and Dana are faffing on a Sunday morning. Yeah, especially when you're recovering from your parties last night. Yeah, you won't even remember half the stuff we're saying. Anyway, this video has gone long enough. We don't want to do another one like yesterday. Dana has to go have something to eat. We've been keeping him for 2 days locked up in this TV screen here. So I'll release Dana so he can go and come back next weekend, where he's going to hopefully tell us how to be great influencers like him. And then we'll follow up with the promoters of RBL and Yes Bank and give you some clarity on why promoters need to be inspected. Thanks for watching the podcast. We wish you a wonderful week ahead. Tomorrow will probably be day, 24 in our 247 challenge. So it's day 24. So I'll be there on Instagram encouraging you to do your tiffin coffee range investing. I have no idea what the markets will do, and I don't think you should worry about that. Don't worry about Trump. Don't worry about all this. Take your list and keep plugging away.
And before that, union budget also happens, sir.
Yeah,
anything will be happening in the Monday opening market.
That's besides the point. Okay. If anything, this week will prove to you union budget has no effect on the market. You'll see it going like this, like that, and you just keep focusing on what we need to do. All right. Where you see value, invest in tiffin coffee and keep moving on with the rest of your life. Thanks for watching the podcast, and me and Dana will see you next weekend with something interesting. Other than that, do go like Dana on Instagram. Bug him there, harass him. Just not me. Make sure you give him lots of love from us. And see you next week. Bye.
Bye.